Hello, everybody. I am delighted and honored to introduce my friend, Susan Amat. Susan Amat was actually my very first interview when covering Miami entrepreneurship way back in 2008 when she was building Launchpad at the University of Miami. Launchpad is an entrepreneurship education center and acceleration hub. I can tell you from the very first interview that I had with her in 2008, she had a very big vision, and that has never wavered. She was also a very fast talker. I had to keep asking her to please slow down. But anyway, we all know execution is everything, and she always preaches that, and she also practices what she preaches, because she went on to scale that program at Launchpad around the country. And then with Hive, she's basically scaled it around the world. She now helps entrepreneurs, tech entrepreneurs, not only in Miami, but Africa, Asia, all over the place, Latin America, the Caribbean. So she really practices what she preaches. And most recently, Hive is working with veterans, U.S. veterans, tech entrepreneurs in Fort Walton Beach. So I think that's pretty cool. So I'm sure you'll enjoy her talk. She's really amazing. Here she is.
That means so much to have Nancy introduce, and I totally didn't realize I was the first interview. That was very nice, thank you. So what I'm going to talk about today, I'm going to start out with a journey of why I do this thing that most people don't understand, and that's cool. And then I'm going to go through what we've done, which is a totally different model of entrepreneurship education. So I'm a high school dropout. At 15, at the beginning of 11th grade, I dropped out of high school because I had a business. And I took that business from California to New York, to DC, back to California, looking for mentors and looking for people to help me. And what I kept finding were people who weren't either thinking as big as I was, or they were trying to make whatever I was doing fit within what they thought was the right thing to do, what their experience said. So when I went back and I did college and then my MBA and my PhD, I went back when I was 25, and my PhD dissertation was on the role of mentoring in creating a culture of innovation. I went on to start the Launchpad, which Nancy just mentioned, which was replicated all over the US, all really looking at that core piece of developing people. So what I do now, it all stems from that. It all comes back to how do we develop great people. It doesn't matter how much investment in the world is out there, if you don't have a good business in the first place, and most importantly, if the person who's talking about it can't execute it. So we develop entrepreneurs who can execute. So we're an entrepreneurship education company. We run accelerator and incubator programs where we test and validate content, and we built a platform that scales. So we license our platform and content to universities, corporations for internal virtual accelerator programs, as well as other incubators, accelerators. And we have a K-12 program that we run, because if it's not accessible to high school students, you're not going to be able to scale to emerging markets where the level of education is not as high in some areas. So the challenges we're specifically focused on. Entrepreneurship education programs focus on the business and not the person. So you end up with really great pitches with people who, once you start asking them questions, it all unravels. They don't understand how they're going to get there. Somebody has coached them really well to deliver a great pitch, but they don't have the solid understanding of the decisions they made, why they're going to do it, because no one educated them first so that they could lead the business. If the program does have any type of curriculum, it's not validated, there aren't metrics tied to it, so you're really not understanding the deeper impact of a specific piece of material, piece of curriculum, and most importantly, the mentors themselves who may be involved in programs. There's no actual triangulation of mentoring resources or networks to see what their impact is. When you look at incubators or accelerators that come into a community, they're typically alone, siloed, and not all-encompassing, and they don't create a full environment. What we've been able to do in Miami is test what that looks like. First, with the University of Miami as a hub through the Launchpad, but then when you start looking at, we have a partnership with Miami-Dade County Public Schools. We literally have 20 high school kids who spend half their school day with us every single day. When you start showing young children that anything that they can think of can be done where they're from, they may go away to college, but they're going to come back. They're going to come back summers, whenever there's a break, and be part of building that thing. And knowing that entrepreneurs are normal people. Seeing that every day has changed these kids' lives. We literally do camps for 2nd and 3rd graders. It just changes the way they view the world. And then the big issue that we try to address in this larger ecosystem development piece is we work all over the world, through the World Bank, through Microsoft, et cetera. And the story that you see time and time again is an entrepreneur has an idea in whatever town they're from, whether that's Antofagasta, Chile, or Tampa, or Miami, right? And when they start getting serious, they are supposed to move somewhere else to be the serious company. And a lot of times that's because they just don't have the resources in place where they are. They don't have the people, the expertise there. What if we democratize access to that resource? What if we bring world-class content and support to them virtually wherever they are? Because if their customers are where they are, why should they move away from their customers to find mentors? That makes no sense to me. So again, structured entrepreneurship education content and platform customized to the needs of the program and the individual through all those different channel partners. So we've created a 4-tier accelerator model. So we have a 12-week program just for idea to MVP. Another 12-week program just for MVP to commercial contact with commercial paying customers. Another one in this crucial area where many startups fail, where you have the startup, where you have that entrepreneur who's hustling, may have millions of dollars in revenue and think that they have traction and they're validated, when in fact, they will not be able to be that CEO who can lead to that next stage of growth. So between phases 2 and 3, we focus on building that person to move from being cool hustler startup person to being someone who understands economies of scope and scale, documentation, operations, and metrics, who can truly be a CEO, who can truly lead a high-growth company. Then you've validated the model as a scalable model, and then your next version is expanding. So we offer those both on-site and through virtual programs, and we've done virtual programs now in 6 countries with a lot of success, which we're very happy about. All of that is tied together with our Beekeeper platform. So in Miami, that's our lab. We've worked with entrepreneurs from more than 35 countries just in Miami, but through our virtual programs, we've worked with entrepreneurs from more than 50 countries. And the goal in Miami is economic development. We recruit companies, we give them $25,000 non-equity grants to be in our accelerator program. We give them free space in our program, and so we get some pretty awesome companies. Our last accelerator class had applicants from more than 40 countries. We have a 2.5% acceptance rate, and they averaged between, it was $150 to $3 million in revenue for the companies entering the class, almost all of whom had been through other programs like Wyra, NXTP, Techstars, Microsoft Accelerator, 500 Startups. And when they come to us, we see the same problem over and over again. Nobody's teaching them documentation, metrics, and making data-driven decisions, and nobody's developed the people. So as I said, they can speak beautifully and they have gorgeous decks. They can't lead that business to the next level. That's what we do. So in Miami, our partners, it's a public-private partnership. We're a for-profit company, because if we're going to teach people how to build awesome for-profit companies, we better live it and breathe it ourselves. So in Miami, we partnered with Miami-Dade County, who provides the grant funding for the companies. Miami World Center is a huge 32-acre development being done, and they gave us access to a 35,000 square foot building where we're running these different programs. We have 29 startups in-house right now, another 7 that are part-time with us, as well as our high school program and then the virtual programs we run, and the Miami DDA that made it all possible. And this is a really important point, because the Miami DDA would never have done this if it wasn't for Mark, who spoke earlier, Mark Billings, creating Incubate Miami. That's what started getting people talking about that can happen here. It was really phenomenal to be able to see this shift, because we started the Launchpad the year before Mark started. And it was really evident that next phase needed to be there. And so his importance in the scene really, really needs to be noted. So just in the first 18 months of our program, we had a 20-to-1 investment leverage from the public dollars to private dollars that came in to support the startups. $7.3 million economic impact with less than $750,000 put in by the government. And currently we have entrepreneurs from more than 25 countries in our building right now. We're responsible for 26 business relocations, and as I said, over 400 applications just for our last class. We recently, just a couple of months ago, started a program in Fort Walton Beach, Florida, which is outside of Pensacola. The idea here, same thing. What's the economic development strength of that region? Well, it's veterans. It's DoD technology spinning out of Air Force Research Labs, and it's the incredible veterans populations there. Over 4,000 vets retire and transition out in that region. Everybody wants to stay, but there aren't good jobs for them. So we were able to attract veteran startups, not just tech companies, from all over the United States, literally from California, Chicago, North Carolina, New York, to a little beautiful town called Fort Walton Beach. And now all of them want to stay because the support is so clear. Everyone understands that this is the future of their town. And if this kind of stuff doesn't happen, you have all these smart kids who are leaving, and the veterans who are transitioning who have incredible skills and have the ethics you want in your community, they're not going to have the jobs to stay. So it's been very exciting to get that off the ground. So as we mentioned, we've been doing programs all over the world through the US State Department. For the last few years, we've done virtual training, up to 8-week mentorship programs for the top 50 tech startups all over the continent of Africa through Demo Africa and through the US State Department. We've personally run 12-week virtual accelerator programs for Microsoft in Chile, Armenia, Pakistan, and Nepal, so we could properly test and validate our content across widely different education, socioeconomic, cultural, etc. types. And then we've also done specialized training for the World Bank and the Kauffman Foundation in other regions, as well as we have a partner at Old Dominion University where we just ran an accelerator for them as well. The idea here is to make sure our content works. We're looking at that individual demographic information. As they use it, they give us feedback. We get feedback on every mentor session. Everything is documented. All of a sudden, you have data helping you understand how to best build those people versus one-on-one. I meet with this guy for an hour, and then a week later, I meet with that guy. There's no documentation of what happened between either of us. Nobody's holding me accountable. Every week, our companies have a lot of inputs they have to put in, and we can give them the support and resources they need based on actual data. Everything is data-driven. Well, I shouldn't say that. Everything is data-driven, but we also have to build the person. They have to be confident. They have to be able to communicate well. They have to not get defensive when people ask them questions. So it's a soft skills while you're building up the business. But they have to build their business. We build them so they can build their businesses. We have incredible international partners like Ernst & Young. The Knight Foundation just recently funded us to support our program in Miami. The World Bank, DLA Piper, Microsoft, of course, USAID, the State Department, and the SBA. And our platform is really kind of at the heart of this transformation. Because as you build these programs, for instance, the 4-country virtual program we just ran for Microsoft, many of the kids in emerging markets, and by kids I mean anybody younger than me, so they're, let's say, 21 to 30-year-olds who were in our program, all of them college educated. When they go through a program like this, they typically are looking to solve problems in their local area. Natural, right? You want to solve what you see. But when you start connecting them across the globe with other trusted people, there's a certain self-selection as to the type of person who enters our program, because it's all about building yourself, not just access to investors and I'm going to get you capital. This is a building yourself program. So we are able to connect them, or they are able to connect themselves to other people that we've vetted and validated to be in our program. So all of a sudden, when you have that idea, you can ask the person in Chile or the person in Pakistan, hey, what's like that? What's happening in the market there that's similar to this? Do you need a partner to bring this kind of technology in? How do we co-develop these things? If you're not teaching people global mindset, you're missing out, because entrepreneurs need to understand the world of opportunities, not just that something's not being done here, so I should do it. They need to understand the competitive landscape and what that 10-year projection is going to look like, because that's what changes the way they spend every day of their lives, the kind of teams they build and how they work towards solving a problem that's bigger than just what's around them locally. And everything we do is integrated. So when you have that, when you go through go-to-market week or whatever the week may be, if you're in one of the formalized structured programs, the content and all of your milestones, objectives are tied to that. Your mentors and special people we may bring in for your business are tied to that. But you are accountable and responsible for executing. A lot of programs, unfortunately, really teach the idea of you outsource this other stuff to someone else, outsourcing your technology or whatever it may be. A CEO and any level, any member of a founding team have to feel totally accountable and responsible for their role. And unfortunately, the CEO role is the most sadomasochistic thing possible, where you have to be involved in everything. And the buck stops with you. You're accountable. So you can't outsource anything. You have to know what you know. That core of your business it's you, and you need to know that. And you need to be responsible for whatever the core value proposition is, has to be in-house. We have to make sure that people understand that. And then we do delivery through lots of different ways. It's very, very cool. I married an awesome, awesome tech guy who I never could have afforded otherwise to make this happen. Marry well. That's the best advice I can give you. Marry a technologist if you're going to have a tech company and you don't know how to do it yourself. So I have a couple of slides on the case study of our pre-accelerator pilots. One of the interesting things that we did with this pre-accelerator, which was so fascinating, and we're going to be expanding this to another 20 countries with them over the next 6 months. One of the things that's so fascinating about this program was that they pulled in these entrepreneurs, and the people running the programs were in these Microsoft Innovation Centers, which are largely tech certification programs. And so, oh, time's up? Oh, okay. The last thing I'm just going to mention is that when you do something very valuable and it works, it stops being about the startups. It starts being about all these other pieces of the ecosystem. So the fascinating thing about this pilot project was the fact that the business community came in. They trained their mentors in a different way because it started being about education instead of investment. We don't take equity in any companies. We keep it clean and pure, and it's about educating people. So the trust is always there. And when you introduce that kind of mindset into a market, the whole thing changes because everybody can rally around the startups to create jobs for the future of that economy. So thank you very much. Oh, we get lots of press. It's good. Thank you.